It was your average summer afternoon, although my parents were at work and my younger brother was at some sort of summer day camp. I, being 13, was allowed to stay at home and take care of myself for the day, until my dad came home around 4:30 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Although at the moment, it was around 8 o'clock in the morning, roughly an hour after everyone left home, other than me, of course. Growing bored of playing on my tablet, I felt a bit of an itch, like I wanted to play some kind of game. The title of the game popped into my head. Animal Jam could work. It was a bit of a childish, cutesy game with adorable but well-made graphics, as well as other unique and quite cute features, such as pets you could purchase or the clothes you could wear. Making my way into the computer room, I slumped down into a comfortable chair before pulling up Chrome, which worked quicker on this particular computer. Logging into my account, Learsong, I was somewhat disappointed when I saw my animal. She was wearing a simple pink and white raccoon tail, a white flower crown, and black elf bracelets. I remembered why next. I had been scammed about 2 weeks ago and hadn't been on much since. Moving my fox around Crystal Sands, where I had spawned, I noticed two jammers chatting with each other. OMG, you got a rare bow? How did you get it? One was typing, clearly not bothering to try to use any grammar. I'm a bit obsessed with grammar. Before quickly running around some other wolf that must have been their buddy. Their friend made a face but replied to them. I won it by playing the Hive, although I couldn't pick up any gems or treasure chests. The less treasure you get on your way there, the better the prize at the end of the gate. They typed in response before turning around and running off towards the water slides. I paused, hesitating for a moment. The Hive was a relatively easy adventure, but it was probably uncommon to get such a good prize, right? So I looked at possible prizes for the Hive adventure, although the wiki wasn't clear. I got the general idea of what I was doing. So I set it in hard mode, even after having read the part about where 2 different paths that could occur during the adventure. Everything ran smoothly at first, and I wasn't doing all that bad. I had begun to start destroying phantom pods to gain the courage to level up a bit more, reaching the harder part of the adventure, where the map was very dark and you needed to depend on a torch to guide your way. I started exploring the map before reaching somewhere in the far left corner of the area. I couldn't find the last of the crystals, and I had started to become fairly frustrated before I noticed something. There were several phantom pods clumped together, all pressed up against the wall. That's a little weird. Must be for more EXP. I can almost level up now, I murmured to myself, tearing up the pods completely. That's when I noticed it. A small tunnel that had been behind the pods, with a slightly red tint to it, the same tint that surrounded the crystals that you needed. Greeley suddenly swirled into appearance in a puff of his dark magic. I despise it when jammers try to play the hero and think they can save the day. Don't go back to Cosmo, he said before disappearing suddenly. The first line had been said by him earlier on, but the second part hadn't been said before. Pushing his words into the back of my head, I slipped into the tunnel, moving my fox through it. It was far longer than I had thought, taking nearly an entire minute to get to the end of the tunnel. Finally, reaching the end, I let out a soft sigh of relief before noticing the crystal I needed to grab. Making a run for it, I grabbed the crystal, making a smile emoji. And that's when my game froze up, the playing area of the screen turning white with a little exclamation mark in the center. This often happened to me, but why did it have to happen then? Irritated, I shut down my Animal Jam tab and started playing on some other games to cool down before coming back to AJ. Logging on, my animal was in the exact same place I had left her, although the room was different. She had been sent back to the room where she needed to put the lost crystal. Putting it in place, the screen trembled a bit, and Cosmo appeared. Good job, Jammer. You're doing great. You have to move along now to defeat that Phantom King, yes? he questioned with a friendly smile, as if it were obvious. I moved towards the entrance to the area where you fight the Phantom King, although Greeley suddenly came back looking angry. It was the first time I'd seen Greeley like that, ever presented like that. Finally, the great wolf elf spoke. Run. Cosmo seemed to glitch over to Greeley and I without having a proper moving sprite, his smile broadening significantly. Jammer, are you talking to my friend, Elf Greeley? Yes. Friends never tell on each other, never lie to each other. Did you know, Jammer? I bet you did, you silly fox. What was he saying to you? The text rolled across the screen, being painstakingly slow. Run, I remember thinking with confusion. Now that I thought about it, this was getting a little weird. I tried to click the logout button, but my computer was taking a long time to load the request. Cosmo's smile turned into a disturbing frown. Aren't we friends? I've been helping you out on these silly adventures. I'm your friend. Tell me what he said. Cosmo pushed, inching closer to my avatar. Suddenly, my entire screen went black, like someone had pulled the plug on my computer. Slowly, it booted up the screen again, showing a bit of a glitched out and terrible image. Greeley was on the ground, writhing beneath Cosmo as he swung his paws, tearing at the other elf's flesh, snarling like a wild animal. What the hell is this? I snapped, spamming the logout button, as well as trying to close the tab, but my computer continued to process it very slowly before shutting down my request. Becoming fed up with my stupid computer, I was about to yank the plug to the computer, but not before glancing up at my screen. It was a terrible sight to behold. Greeley's eyes had been torn right from the sockets, large gashes on his pelt as he lay in a pool of pixelated blood. His sprite twitched violently, body parts moving at angles impossible to an animal. No, it wasn't extremely realistic. It was just disturbing, to say the least. Cosmo himself had a great sprite, his smile too wide for his face as he glitched over to me, faint laughter playing through my speakers. I shut off the speakers, proceeding to pull the plug. My computer turned off without a problem, and I plugged it back in and booting it back up. I avoided Animal Jam for about a month, but eventually forced myself to log on, being able to spawn normally. I had a single jamgram in my inbox, and I clicked it eagerly, hoping for it to be from one of my buddies. When I opened it up, it was a picture of Cosmo hanging out with the other alphas, except for Greeley, who had been smudged out beyond recognition in the photo. The words below it read, "This is our little secret."